to create room for participation of the private sector in the financing, construction, development, operation, or maintenance of infrastructure or development projects through public-private partnerships, hence the enactment of Public-Private Partnerships Act 2021. And Mr. Chairman, you'll allow me just to interject there that this is actually off-balance sheet way of financing our projects. We are all aware of the constraints that we have in our exchequer, the pressures. So under the PPP Act, various procurement methods for a PPP project are outlined. And these include 1, direct procurement, 2, privately initiated proposals, 3, competitive bidding, and finally, restricted bidding. It is therefore within the law to engage the private sector in public development undertaking. And Chairman, as I respond to your communication, I will outline the lawful method applied in the ADANI instance. At this moment, in the course of my brief introductory remarks, Chairman and members, I wish to call to note that under the said law was the creation of the Public-Private Partnerships Committee and the Directorate, whose import in ensuring that the law is upheld where any procurement process of the 4 outlined in the Act is ongoing is key. These key roles have been aptly applied as legally required, as will be shown as I now proceed to respond to the itemized questions as set out in your letter to me referenced above. Number 1, Chairman, you asked me to outline the PIP process, that is privately initiated proposals process under the Public-Private Partnership Act with specific focus on the PIP by ADANI Airport Holdings Limited. Sections 40 to 44 of the PPP Act provides for procurement of the PPPs using the privately initiated proposal method, which is the method that has been applied by ADANI. The Act set out steps that apply in the event this method of procurement is used. So now the process of privately initiated proposal. I get now to the process. Step number 1. Step number 1 is the submission of PIP by private party and the consideration of the PIP by contracting authority. This is the step that was taken by ADANI via their submission to the Kenya Airports Authority. A submission is complete as per the law where the requirements that the private party is required to demonstrate under Section 40, subsection 2 of the PPP Act are met. And these are, A, that this project is aligned with the national infrastructure priorities and meets a demonstrated societal need. B, the project provides value for money. And this means that the undertaking of a public function of the contracting authority by a private party under the PPP results is a net benefit accruing to that contracting authority as defined in terms of cost, price, quality, timelines, or risk transfer. C, the project proposal provides sufficient information for the contracting authority, which in this case was Kenya Airports Authority, to assess fiscal affordability of and the potential contingent liability implications of the proposal for the project. The proposal should provide full disclosure excuse me, on all relevant project information for accountability to stakeholders. D, the project can be delivered at a fair market price. E, that the project supports the efficient transfer of risk from the public sector. And F, that for transparency and accountability, the proposal contains the following information set out under Section 40, subsection 3 of the Act, and in this case, the PPP Act. 1, a detailed description of the proposed project that must include reference designs, sketches, and alignment maps. 2, detailed project needs analysis, including a description of the benefits to society and alignment with the government's infrastructure plan. 3, a description of the environmental and social features of the proposed project. 4, a detailed technical description of the project, including a construction schedule and requirements on enabler services. 5, a detailed description of the financial viability of the project. 6, a preliminary operating plan for the proposed project. And 7, a description of the key project risks and risk allocation under the project. Number 8 is a disclosure on any government support measures the proposed project may require. Number 9, a description of non-monetary government support measures that the project may require. And finally, number 10 is a justification why the project is not suitable for open competitive procurement. Now, step number 2, Mr. Chairman, is submission of PIP proposal to the PPP Directorate for assessment and subsequent approval by the committee. Notwithstanding Section 40, subsection 5 of the Act, which grants discretion to the Cabinet Secretary for Finance, in this case, National Treasury and Economic Planning, to prescribe when PIP submissions may be made. Section 40, subsection 6 of the Act requires a private party at the time of submitting the PIP proposal to the contracting authority to pay into the Project Facilitation Fund a non-refundable review fee calculated at the rate of 0.5% of the estimated project cost, or USD 50,000, whichever is lower. Chairman, in line with these provisions of the law, ADANI Airport Holdings Limited submitted a private initiative paid 50,000 USD appraisal fee as set in the law. Attached here is a letter forwarding the PIP and PIP itself, and that is annexure A and B, respectively. So you have there a letter from the State Department, which has come from KIA through the State Department to the Treasury or to the Directorate, and the documents, the PIP documents. Step number 3, Mr. Speaker, then will kick in when the PIP is with both the contracting authority and the Directorate. This is conducting due diligence on the private party. Due diligence on the private party under Section 41 of the of the Act is conducted by the Directorate, Mr. Chairman, and the contracting authority to confirm that the private party A is not debarred by any country or any international organization from participating in PPPs or similar arrangements. B is not corrupt. C is not insolvent. D is tax compliant in all jurisdictions in which it has local presence and in its home country, and that it is not in default on payment of social security and employment benefits or contributions in its jurisdictions of operation and registration. And finally, has not, and its directors or officers have not been convicted of any criminal offense. So this is a fairly high level due diligence conducted mostly through the desktop computer. Step number 4, the due diligence paves way to the evaluation of the PIP. Mr. Chairman, evaluation of the PIP is carried out by the contracting authority and the Directorate jointly after development of an evaluation criteria by the Directorate in consultation with contracting authority. The evaluation is carried out within 90 days from the date the proposal is submitted to the Directorate by the contracting authority, and the Directorate is required to develop an assessment report. So the evaluation criteria by law shall include public interest criteria, project feasibility criteria, PPP sustainability, and affordability criteria. In the ADANI instance, steps 3 and 4, which require conducting due diligence and evaluation on the private party as required by law, was undertaken. 1, an evaluation committee comprising of members from the Kenya Airports Authority, State Department for Transport, and National Treasury, as part of the evaluation process, undertook a preliminary due diligence and evaluation exercise in compliance with Section 41 and 42 of the Act. And this is what I called high-level evaluation. Number 2, the evaluation committee in evaluating the proposal applied the criteria specified in Section 42(3) of the Act to scrutinize the proposal. That is, public interest criteria, project feasibility criteria. I'm simply restating what I have already stated up there: sustainability criteria and affordability criteria. The committee identified 22 issues in the PIP proposal and recommended that the concerns be addressed by ADANI Airport Holdings Limited at the project in development phase. 22 issues. And attached herewith is the evaluation report. It's annexure number C.
Chairman, slight point of order.
Yes,
I noticed that the CS keeps on editing his document as he reads it. What is the word suitability? He reads as I don't understand whether there's any import to that.
Yeah, maybe the chair, the word here is suitability, not sustainability. If I did that, that's just, I did not edit my written submission intentionally. My apologies. Step number 5. Chairman and members, the evaluation having concluded, the law and PIP by the directorate, more specifically, the PPP directorate is required under Section 42 to carry out a detailed assessment and make recommendations to the committee within 5 working days after concluding the evaluation on whether the project can proceed to project development phase. The committee can approve, reject, or guide on the procurement method. Step number 6. This is now the approval of the PIP by the committee. So after receiving the assessment report from the directorate, the committee will consider the PIP to determine whether or not the project may proceed to the project development phase. In its determination, the committee shall consider the assessment report submitted by the directorate, the review and recommendations of the directorate, and finally, any benchmarking and market testing results. Chairman and members, retaining our focus on the ADANI instance, please note that in line with steps 5 and 6, assessment and submission of PIP by the directorate as well as approval by the committee as required under the provisions of the law occurred. 1, the directorate conducted an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper for presentation to the committee. I have attached herewith the technical working paper as annexure number E. The PIP evaluation report number 2, the PIP evaluation report was presented to the committee at its 40th extraordinary PPP committee meeting held on 13th March 2024. 3, the PPP committee considered the report at its meeting and approved that the project should progress to the project development phase in accordance with Section 43 of the Act. In addition, the private party and the Kenya Airports Authority were required to address the following at project development phase. Number 1, the documentation with respect to tax compliance should be subjected to verification by the Kenya High Commission in India. Number 2, the proposed phase 1, that is 2025 to 2029, should be compressed to a shorter period given the urgency of its components. Number 3, The proposed concession period of 30 years on a build, operate, transfer or BOT model should be determined on the basis of a comprehensive financial assessment of the proposed project. In that regard, to facilitate this analysis, the proponent should provide, and the proponent in this case is the private party, that's ADANI, should provide a financial model, detailed EPC cost estimates, detailed O&M cost estimates, and details of the financing terms. Number 4, the proposed equity IRR of 18% should be negotiated by the parties. Further, compensation for the value of asset transfer at the end of the concession term will be applied if the proponent does not realize its targeted return. Number 5, the error and non-cost, including the concession order under the Kenya Airports Authority Act, Cap 395 laws of Kenya, Air Passenger Service Charge Act, Cap 475 laws of Kenya, and negotiations with third parties with the existing contracts with Kenya Airports Authority. Number 6, land acquisition or allocation should be aligned with the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Master Plan and subject to availability of land and requisite approvals. Kenya Airports Authority Board, NL, should be reviewed, including social risks and risks allocated appropriately. And further, a proper mitigation plan should be provided by the proponent. Number 10, all commitments must be made in line with the Kenyan laws, and any proposed amendments to the laws should be in accordance with the established lawmaking processes. Further, any protection granted to the proponent for changes in law shall only be limited to changes that directly discriminate the proponent. Number 11, the exclusivity of concession rights as provided in the proposal should be reviewed, ensuring that the rights, assets, and areas of operation are clearly defined in the transaction documents. Number 12, tax exemptions as proposed should be subjected to the laws of Kenya, and applications should be made on a case-by-case basis. Number 13, the proposed heads of terms for the concession agreement should be negotiated at the appropriate stage. Number 14, the project costing is indicative at this stage. More accurate cost estimates should be agreed during the feasibility phase and once project specifications have been finalized. Now, a transition plan to facilitate the transfer of assets, liabilities, and obligations from the grantor of the concession to the concessionaire should be developed. The transition plan should specify the timing, rationale, and processes or procedures for the transfer of assets, liabilities, and obligations from one party to the other. Number 16, the proposed fixed concession fee of USD 47 million per year should be reviewed and a valuable component to the concession fee introduced to ensure that the government of Kenya is entitled to a share in the upside. Further, the concession fee should be set operating expenses, and that Kenya Airports Authority is not left in a no. Number 7, the tariffs for end users are compounded by 3% on annual basis, which has a bearing on further assessment of the impact of the proposed tariff increments should be undertaken. Number 18, the Kenya Airports Authority should undertake. Finally, that the Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that they have requisite capacity to finalize the project development phase within 6 months as provided in 43(2) of the PPP Act. This decision, Mr. Chairman, by the committee was communicated to the State Department for Chairman and members. The communication of the committee anticipates that in line with the law, the following steps may apply. Now, step number 7. Now is the project development phase. After approval of the PIP proposal by the committee, the private party shall proceed to the project development stage after preparation of project development activities, which include a detailed geographical scope of the project and the technical, financial, legal, social, environmental, and economic feasibility studies. B, PPP suitability. C, comprehensive risk matrix. D, a preliminary PPP structure. And finally, a plan for stakeholder outreach to ensure social acceptability of the project. The private party and Kenya Airports Authority may enter into a project agreement to outline the terms which the private party will undertake the project development activities. Section 43(7), I confirm, Chair, the project agreement has not been signed or agreed on. I think I've mixed it. That was for section 43(7). I confirm, Chair, that the project agreement has not been signed or agreed on between the government and ADANI Airport Holdings Limited. And maybe let me just add there that project development is a detailed feasibility study faced by the proponents. Step number 8 is evaluation and submission of documents from the project development. Mr. Chairman, evaluation of the documents from the contracting authority and the directorate in accordance with the PPP Act, Cap 430, and submitted to the directorate for assessment. This was done by what we would call the project implementation team. The evaluation report is then forwarded to the National Treasury by the Kenya Airports Authority through the apparent ministry for consideration and approval by the PPP committee. Mr. Chairman, the step number 9, assessment and approval of documents from project development phase. I want the committee to ignore explaining the number of days it would take for the previous process to conclude. So it doesn't add any more value. And because it was too late for me to amend this, it has come here, Mr. Chairman. My apologies. So that paragraph is not adding any value. I move to the next paragraph that the committee.
Maybe for the record, the paragraph that is below step 9.
This phase, it ends with this phase.
So you're deleting that?
It's actually three lines. The last line is short.
Okay, proceed.
So the committee may, within 14 days on the recommendation of the contracting authority and any independent reviews or advice that the committee may solicit, determine that the project meets the requisite criteria and grant approval for procurement. B, the project does not meet the requisite criteria and guide on alternative methods for implementation. Or C, the project does not meet any of the relevant criteria. Members, I have outlined to you one of the lawful steps as set out in the Act. The other lawful step that may follow at this project development stage is provided under section 43(6) and 7 of the Act. In respect to the ADANI instance, in line with the law as it relates to the project, Kenya Airports Authority and ADANI Airport Holdings Limited did not enter into a project development agreement as provided in section 43(6) of the Act of the 2024 is 2021. Yeah, section 43 subsection 6 of the PPP Act 2021. Is that correct?
Is this subsection 6 or 7? It's written 7.
No, it's supposed to be 6. And this, if you check, the Act is actually subsection 6. So this is one of the corrections. My apologies again, that should be made. And then again, the PPP Act is 2021, not 2024. So entering in and not mandatory requirements. So I wanted to point out that the two parties did not enter into a project development agreement as provided in the Act. But again, I'm pointing out that this is discretionary, it is not mandatory. Two, upon receiving the Kenya Airports Authority for review. Three, subsequently, Kenya Airports Authority through the State Department wrote a letter which is dated 4th April, and the details are provided there, of 2024, forwarded the feasibility study stroke project development report from ADANI Airport Holdings to the National Treasury for its consideration and approval by the committee. Attached here with this the letter, next number G, to show this esteemed committee the sustained steps by my ministry to ensure adherence to the law in the evaluation and submission of documents from project development phase, more specifically the feasibility study conducted in line with section 43.5. One, the National Treasury, through a letter reference as indicated, and which is dated 9th April 2024, requested the Kenya Airport to evaluate the project development report submitted by ADANI Airport Holdings. The evaluation was conducted from 15th to 19th of April 2024. Attached here with again is the letter as annex number I. Two, Kenya Airports Authority, through a letter reference as indicated but dated May 2nd, 2024, forwarded the evaluation report of the project development report to the State Department of Transport and copied to the JKIA report. That is annexure J, K, and L, respectively. This steered the process into the next stage, which is the assessment and approval of documents from project development. In its 46th ordinary meeting held on 3rd of May 2024. Attached again is the technical working paper of the directorate on the matter. Annexure number M. The PPP committee considered the project development report and granted approval to Kenya Airports Authority and identified by the evaluation committee. Again, we have attached the letter on annexure number N, which is dated 9th May 2024. This is what you would call the preliminary heads of terms. Allow me, Mr. 10 is the procurement design stage. You can also call it negotiation of the PIP, section 44. So subsequent to approval of the PIP by the committee, the contracting authority shall, with the assistance of the directorate, directly negotiate the project proposal with the private party. The directorate of the Attorney General for development of the PPP project. If negotiations are not completed within 6 months, the negotiation shall be terminated. Now, if the contracting authority, which is now KAA, receives more than one privately initiated proposal and all proceed to the project development phase, then the contracting authority determines that the project should be procured competitively because of market interest or the existence of equally competent alternative technologies that could deliver higher value for money to the government. The contracting authority may elect to subject the project to open sub. Where the contracting authority determines that an open tender is in the public interest, it shall establish a clear and realistic timeline for the preparation of tender documentation and the administration of the bidding process. That you will find under section 44.6. Stability studies and project documentation used to evaluate the project, subject to disclosure guidelines on public-private partnership projects for the time being. Step 12, approval of the concession agreement. The people and proponents within 28 days after receiving the project and financial risk assessment report. Step number 13, comprehensive due diligence of the private party. Section 27 now of the Act. This is the due diligence conducted under Section 27. Remember, we are under Section 27. A contracting authority, before execution of a project agreement, is required to undertake a comprehensive due diligence on the private party to establish A, the financial capacity of the private party to undertake the project, and B, the relevant experience of the private party in undertaking projects of similar nature. C, D, and I don't want us to lose sight and focus on what what is before us. What has followed has been negotiation of the PIP, section 44. More specifically, following approval by the committee, Kenya Airports Authority proceeded to directly negotiate with ADANI Airport Holdings Limited. 2, a negotiation committee was constituted and conducted negotiation through a series of in-person and teleconference meetings from 4th of June 2024 to date, and negotiated ahead of terms, as I mentioned earlier, detailing non-binding terms of the transaction. The committee included representatives for transport as a line department, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority as interested party, state law office as required by law, and then PPP Directorate of the National Treasury, assisted by a transaction advisor procured by Kenya Airports Authority. Of August 2024, and I've referenced it there, submitted the project and financial risk assessment report together with the heads of terms for consideration by the Public-Private Partnership Committee. Attached here is a copy of the letter, financial risk and assessment report, and heads of terms. Annexed here, the Directorate then prepared, this is number 4, an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper that was presented to the committee in its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st of August 2024. Attached again is the technical working paper of the Directorate on the matter, Annexure R. Report. At its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st August 2024, as I stated earlier, and approval was granted to proceed to the drafting and negotiation of the concession agreement based on the agreed terms of the heads of terms. The committee directed that Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that ensures the following before signing the concession agreement. And there are 5, which were highlighted. A, cabinet concurrence on the implementation of the project. B, undertake a detailed stakeholder engagement to proactively consider their needs. C, undertaking a detailed due diligence exercise of the ADANI Airport Holdings Limited in accordance with Section 27 of the Act. D, any material changes to the heads of term should be referred back to the committee for approval. And finally, obtaining the legal clearance of the Concession Agreement Act. Following issues should be addressed in the concession agreement. A, include clear provisions for open book accounting to ensure optimal performance and full disclosure of the project accounts during audits and for calculation of government share of income. B, comprehensive review of the risk matrix to ensure that all risks are identified, appropriately allocated, and suitable mitigation measures are provided. C, the CAPEX schedule and development plan for refurbishment of existing terminal should be clearly defined. Onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis. And Mr. Chairman, I wanted to emphasize that. D, that Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA further, that the concessionaire gives preference to recruitment of Kenyan nationals in all positions. And I'm sure the honorable members would understand why I'm emphasizing the issue of JKIA employees, because it was very contentious. E, the drafting of the agreement should ensure that the concessionaire is incentivized to meet revenue and EBITDA, in short, targets within the current the projects in aeronautical and non-aeronautical charges. Any increase of charges, therefore, thereafter should follow the due process. Number 8, find as to how it fits with local content should be considered in accordance with Section 83 of the Act 2021. Kenya Airports Authority should seek guidance on this from the PPP Directorate. Decision letter under reference as stated there, which is dated 22nd August 2024. It is annexure S. This logical flow, Mr. Chairman, is in line with the law for this process. And Mr. Chairman, the law requires that the next steps will include the following. Now I'm going to the next steps. Actually, this number 1, Mr. Chairman, members will bear with me, was that just almost coming to a close on the question number 1. Step number 14, Mr. Chairman, is approval by the Attorney General. After approval of the project agreement by the PPP committee, the contracting authority is required to submit prior to execution. And that step takes the step number 15. Actually, there is no clear separation between step number 14 and 15, because step number 15 states as follows: notification to cabinet. The contracting authority, Kenya Airports Authority, shall notify the cabinet of the committee's approval to enter into a and be conducted concurrently, because communication to cabinets is usually through cabinet memos, and there is no cabinet memo which would go to the cabinet without the signature of the Attorney General and that of the CS National Treasury. So, and at the same time, aiding or facilitating. Step number 16 is execution of project agreements, which is found under Section 61 of the Act. So upon obtaining the approvals and furnishing the notifications under Section 60, the contracting authority shall execute the project agreement with a private party. Once the concession agreement is in the process of being drafted, authority, after which the Government of Kenya Negotiation Committee will review and agree on the terms before negotiating with with ADANI Airport Holdings Limited. With regard to the application of Section 44.5 and 44.6 of the PPP Act, there has thus far been no determination in this respect. So having outlined, Chairman and members, allow me now to proceed to the other questions in your letter to me, subject to this section.
As you proceed, I want to get those steps, or first of all, we complete.
Yes.
The Chairman, I was requesting I just finish,
Right.
because they are actually tied. So your question number 2, Chairman, was on the procurement method that the Public-Private Partnerships Directorate advised Kenya Airports Authority to use in undertaking the project. And there, Mr. Chairman, you will allow me, and that's why I'm making written submission, that there are 2 items highlighted there, but I want to add a third one, which will be now number 1. So number 1 in the list should be number 2, and number 2 becomes number 3. And I'm method. So the advice is the following. So the Directorate advised the contracting authority on all procurement methods. I've advised the contracting authorities on all procurement methods available under the Act, and therefore, 2, which was number 1 in the list, it is the responsibility of the contracting authority to determine the procurement method to be used for a particular PPP project. Number 3, which is number 2 in here in the written submission, is that the National Treasury received a PIP from the State Department for Transport on 1st of March 2024, and the process of finalizing the transaction is still ongoing. So the third question, Mr. Chairman, was the status of the PIP by ADANI Airport Holdings Limited, and I respond as follows. 1, the project is at negotiation phase following approval by the committee August 2024. The PPP committee directed the contracting authority as follows: A, obtain cabinet concurrence on the implementation of the project; B, undertake a detailed stakeholder engagement to proactively consider their needs for social acceptability for the project; and C, undertake a detailed due diligence exercise of the ADANI Air PPP Act back to the PPP committee for approval. And head of terms simply mean broad clauses that could be found in the agreement. Number E, which is the final one, obtain the legal clearance of the concession agreement in accordance with Section 60 subsection 2 of the Act. Number 2, a team comprising of Kenya Airports Authority, the State Department for Transport, the State Law Office, and the DPP Directorate of the National Treasury is currently in the process of undertaking a comprehensive due diligence exercise to establish the requisite capacity of ADANI Airport Holdings Limited to undertake the project. And finally, number 3, Kenya Airports Authority and a number of other government institutions, including the national capacity of ADANI Airport Holdings Limited, and stakeholder engagement of the project for social acceptance. Question number 4, Mr. Chairman. You asked about the due diligence undertaken under Section 27 and 41 of the PPP Act, Cap 430. Even though I've already addressed it in my comprehensive, I was giving step by step, blow by blow details on how the whole thing was conducted, or the process was conducted, but I still will repeat. Number 1, the PPP Act 2021 requires due diligence to be undertaken 27 of the diligence conducted by the Directorate and then contracting authority to confirm the private party is not debarred, that I already mentioned, by any country or any international organizations from participating in PPPs or similar arrangement. B, is not corrupt. C, is not insolvent. D is tax compliance. I think this should be compliant and not complaints. It's tax compliant in all jurisdictions in which it has local presence and its home country, social security and employment benefits or contributions in its jurisdictions of operation and registration. And E has not, and its directors or officers have not been convicted of any criminal offense. Number 3, now section 27. Section 20, comprehensive due diligence exercise is conducted by the contracting authority before signing the project agreement to establish the financial capacity of the private party to undertake the project. That is A. B, relevant experience of the private party in undertaking projects of similar. D, and environmental due diligence parameters prescribed by the directorate. Number 4, the evaluation committee undertook a high-level due diligence in accordance with section 41 of the Act, as I highlighted in my response to question number 1 above, where they highlighted, I think, 22 issues. Now, number 5, the government is in the process of undertaking a comprehensive due diligence exercise in line with section 27 of the ADANI Airport Holdings Limited to undertake the project. Now, question number 5, Mr. Chairman, you have asked for copies of PIP's expression of interest received from investors on development of airports since 2022. The scope of information available to my ministry in relation to this question is as follows. Number 1, National Treasury copy. We have had a letter dated 25th April 2023 by ADANI Airports Holding Limited, which is attached as annexure number T. Number 2, via letter dated 9th June 2023, the National Treasury we have a letter requesting the State Department of Transport to forward concept notes for candidates PPP projects in the aviation sector. This was a prompting letter, because once we received the communication from KAA that ADANI was interested in to develop the airport, it took a while. We gave time as Treasury. It took a while, and then we prompted the ministry. So via the letter, number 3, via the letter as reference, and which is dated 12th June 2023, informed the State Department of Transport acknowledging receipt of a PIP by Kenya Airport Authority is yet to formally submit the PIP and their preliminary appraisal. And next year, V. Number 4, the State Department for Transport, via a letter reference there, Mr. Chairman, but dated 29th June 2023, informed the National Treasury that ADANI Airports Holding Limited and on 27th April 2023 submitted a PIP to Kenya Airports Authority for a 30-year PPP concession for JKIA transfer arrangement. The letter further stated that the Kenya Airports Authority Board of Directors, in its 358th meeting held on the 16th of June 2023, noted the expression of interest for the PPP arrangements for JKIA and other airports as Almaya Group Kenya in December 2022 for Isiolo Airport. Number 2, China Jiangxi International Economic and Technical Corporation in April 2023 for Wilson Airport. Number 3, Terminal Holdings Abu Dhabi in May 2023, Bridge Corporation in May 2023 for JKIA. And number 5, Motor Angel Africa Corporation America JV in June 2023 for JKIA. Attached again here with is a copy of the letter from the State Department for Transport, which is 5. The 3 Kenya Airports Authority appeared before the PPP committee seeking guidance on how to prioritize the proposed concession for JKIA to a private investor for purposes of constructing a new terminal and rehabilitating the existing terminal under PPP arrangement. Between 25th August 2023 and 15th September 2023, Kenya Airports Authority engages ALG for provision of transaction advisory services, which is a firm. This ALG is a consultancy firm for provision of transaction advisory services for the development and expression of JKIA. Annexure number X. Subsequently, that is number 7, the National Treasury, through a letter reference as indicated there, but dated 6 on 3 essential steps for competitive procurement, and advised them to constitute the project development team and finalize a feasibility study within the timelines they had indicated. That's Annexure Y. Now, this is number 8. And through a letter, through an email dated 8th November 2023, the Director General of PPP in the Directorate informed Kenya Airports Authority of the international services. Attached here with this again a copy of the email correspondent as Annexure number Z. Now, number 9, through a letter dated 22nd November 2023, the State Department of Transport then wrote to the National Treasury, informing the National Treasury that Kenya Airports Authority is currently undertaking the feasibility study for the proposed project, and that the study will be finalized by December 2023. That is Annexure AA. On 14th February 2024, ALG submit the interim here with is a copy of the interim report as Annexure. On 16th February 2024, ALG make presentation of the draft interim feasibility study report to Kenya Airports Authority, PPP Directorate, and State Department for transport. Again, I have attached here with a copy of the presentation as Annexure number C. Number 12 is the State Department of Transport through a letter, reference as indicated there, dated 19th February 2024, forwarded the feasibility study report to the National Treasury for construction A, Annexure D. Subsequently, via a letter, reference as indicated, but dated 1st March, the State Department of Transport submitted a PIP by ADANI Airport Holdings Limited, currently under assessment. That is Annexure A and B as earlier cited. So this is the one that we dealt with earlier. And actually that is the one that is the subject of this interrogation, Mr. Chairman. Number 14, subsequently, through a letter as referenced there and dated 1st March, the State Department and assessment, again, I repeat, Annexure A and B as earlier cited. Number 6, or question 6.
But I believe members who've listened very attentively would also want to engage. We are going to give you a few minutes to put your questions, then the CS will be able to answer. Then we go to the next member. So, members, the floor is yours. And one of the terms is missing page 48 and page 49.
Chairman, there's a complete one inside the documents.
You do?
There's a complete one.
All right, then mine seems to be missing that one. That's okay. I'll check that as we go. And also, members, you requested for the letter, the cover letter that his response with, and we rest that matter there. Members? Yes, Senator Sifuna.
In fact, Chair, let me begin where you say you want to rest the matter. I have seen a copy of that forwarding letter, and my only advice is that this is not the standard expected. In fact, the letter should have said the things that the CS said, that it covers all these issues. So, Chair, allow me to begin my questions. Honorable CS, this approval by the PPP committee is the crux of the matter. So we are going to focus there. You have repeatedly referred to approval by the PPP committee at a meeting of, ordinary meeting held on 3rd May 2024. I perused these documents at length. I do not see the minutes of these two meetings. Did you attach the minutes of the meetings of the PPP committee that you have referenced? Honorable CS, I like that my questions are answered. I finish with you, then it will be handed to somebody else. Did you submit minutes of those two meetings? So yes or no?
It's a very bulky. So
you will agree with me, CS, that if we wanted to know what a meeting, the decision the meeting took, it is critical for us to have the minutes of that meeting. It's critical to have those minutes.
this committee will get the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Now, touched on, Honorable Chair, if you go to section, I'm getting mixed up. CS, who is supposed to submit a PIP to the committee, the PPP committee?
To the directorate.
Correct.
Which is at the National Treasury.
Now, you have attached a letter here. A letter dated 1st of March 2024. That is signed by PIP.
Procedure in government is usually when you are communicating to another ministry, it comes through the parent ministry, the State Department. So there's nothing completely wrong. So long as you indicate that that PIP proposal was to the KAA, which is the contracting authority. So the letter,
Yes. Now let's move on to something you've touched on about the membership of this PPP committee.
but Chair, with your indulgence, I think
Yes,
we need to sort out that. The contracting authority here is KAA.
yes.
They receive PIP. They decided, different story, but so long as AAA has submitted the PIP to the line PS, and then the line PS submits it to Treasury, indicating
You would want to have. I want to read you the law as it is, not as it ought to be. Section 40, subsection 4, the contracting authority, which is KA, shall submit the privately initiated proposal to the Directorate for assessment and approval. I want to move on because I have very little time. Committee. Honorable Chair, you have taken us through the members of that PPP committee. You will agree with me that, in fact, if you look at the letter of 1st March 2024, it is a letter originating from a member of the PPP committee to another member of the PPP committee. Isn't that the case, Honorable CS?
that is bound to happen, because I've already said that even if you
Chris Kipto of National Treasury, those are both members of the PPP committee.
the Transport PS is a co-opted member.
They are
By
both
virtue-
members of the committee.
By virtue, is not a designated member as per the law, but the law says you co-opt the line PS. Remember? He is communicating a PIP which was received by KAA, and by the way, KAA is the one that communicated to the PS.
So where is that correspondence in your?
Yes.
Let's move to Annexure D, which is the evaluation report. You have taken us through the standard that has been set by the law when it comes to evaluation of these proposals, Chair. I want us to go to the evaluation report at Annexure D. Are we there, Honorable Mbadi? Yes, so there is a summary of the due diligence that is found at page 6 of that report. It starts from page 6. Are we together?
You can proceed. I can see it.
The attribute, the indicators, and the remarks.
I think, Chair, maybe we are having different. Reports.
I am at Annexure D. This is the KA evaluation report. Of the PIP.
You can hold a bit, we get it.
Chair, I hope you'll not accuse me of taking too much time. It's the witness.
Noted.
I think we are together now. You can proceed.
They are together.
Summary of the due diligence.
Yes, you can see the parameter, the attribute, and on the remarks, it says they provided a sworn notarized declaration. Is that reference to a self-declaration by ADANI themselves? So they did not provide anything other than what they swore themselves. Is that correct? I need answered.
Chair, I thought the member would just ask the question, then I respond. Because
You are not responding. I have asked
is
you're
that the
nodding your
way
head.
it should be conducted, Chairman?
Yeah, sometimes we take that route, so it's okay.
It's a very tedious route, but go ahead. Yes, I can see.
Honorable Chair, this is an acceptable comment from the Honorable CS. We sat here and listened to you take us through for 1 hour. It was extremely tedious, and we did not complain. So if you answer my questions, we will move quickly and get out of here as soon as possible. So you can see that it was a self-declaration, not the standard expected by the Act. Let's go to the question on corrupt practices.
But Chair, with all due respect, why do you say it is not? You side to that for me?
Honorable Mbadi,
Yes.
you are required to provide confirmation that none of these people are listed on World Bank and PPRA list of ineligible firms. Surely that does not mean that they can take up practices. They have also provided a notarized declaration. That is a sworn affidavit.
So can I just respond?
Yes.
I have clear information that even though they did this sworn affidavit, it was confirmed through checking the website of World Bank to confirm the same. So if you want me to state that on record, I'm stating that that was checked and was found.
It is not in this report by KA.
Well, you don't have to put everything on report, but I'm just reporting what I'm saying.
Through you, Chair.
You know, I'm under oath.
Just through you, Chair. Yeah. I mean, what is our brother? What has just happened to you? What are you saying? That they don't have to do that? That is exactly the crux of the matter of ADANI. That is it, Bro John. If you
To you, Honorable, is this: I'm under oath, and I'm stating as follows: the evaluation committee did check the World Bank sites and confirmed that that is the case.
through you, Chair, can I respond? In the report here, that statement is made is propaganda. It's not there.
As I had indicated, I think let's give Senator his time. Then
Thank you, President. I was just making a point of information.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chairman, over the page, the law against CS is that they are supposed to confirm that they are not subject to any on the parameter of insolvency. Do you see that, Honorable Chair, Honorable CS? CS, if you know
that is, you are asking about the criminal conviction?
No.
Which one?
The parameter is insolvency.
Yes,
they are supposed to confirm that they have not been suspended and is not subject to any current legal proceedings.
Correct.
Correct. Now, what did they provide in the column for indicators?
Provided a sworn affidavit
No.
financial 2023.
You are reading
2022,
a totally different document.
Which one?
The document I have says they provided audited financial statements. There's no mention of an affidavit.
I am mentioning it because I'm under oath. And I want so that I make your work easy, Senator Sifuna, because you will ask me. I am telling you that this audited financial statement as of 31st March 2023 was provided under a sworn affidavit.
PPA, I'm a lawyer. You know for a fact that whether somebody has live criminal or civil proceedings going on is not contained in financial statements. There has to be something else to confirm that there doesn't exist any litigation.
You
Yes
see,
or no?
What was the indicator? The indicator was proponent to provide audited financial statements.
No.
That is what I have in the sheet. Can you just read? Just go
under the law,
Sifuna, Chair, please.
Under
Let's
the law,
read. You are reading under the. Can you read my documents?
Let's direct.
I'm reading your document.
Senator Sifuna.
So, Chair, what do you have under indicators?
Let's direct your conversation through the chair.
Honorable Chair, just allow me to
7,
Yes,
number 7.
I am reading the Honorable CS's own documents. He's the one who's attempting to amend his own documents.
Read that part
It
you're referring
says
to.
one of the parameters, and it is in the law, is you need to confirm that it is not the entity is not subject to any current legal proceedings. That is not something that can be found in financial statements.
So where
Chair,
did you get the indicators from?
Chair, we have three items here. There is insolvency, tax compliant, and criminal conviction. Now, under insolvency, attribute is not insolvent, under receiver or bankrupt, and its affairs are not being administered by a court or judicial officer. Its business activities have not been suspended, and it is not subject to any current legal
in which it has local tax presence.
That is what is in the law.
Okay, let me move very quickly, Honorable Chair, to page